go ahead and introduce our first speaker from the legislature, Representative Krause. He is going to speak to us first. He's currently in his fourth term representing House District 93 in Fort Worth. He's a constitutional attorney, professor of American history and government, as well as a speaker on America's founding fathers. In addition to his duties as a representative, Representative Krause serves on 4 different House committees, including transportation. And he's also the chairman of the Texas Legislative Tourism Caucus, which seeks to advocate and promote the tourism industry here in the Lone Star State, which I know the people in this in particular will be interested to hear about.
And I don't know about a lot of state reps, but coming into office, transportation, everybody knows they don't want to get stuck in traffic, and we got to do something to get people moving. You don't really understand the industry or what that all entails, especially in Texas. And so my part of Texas House District 93 actually encompasses the headquarters for BNSF. And so one of the first things I was able to do when I got into office was start to learn how important the rail industry was. And so I think a lot of people like me thought, you know, trains were kind of a bygone era. We don't use them much anymore. Sure, I get stopped at tracks now and then, but how much do they actually help our society today? How much do we use them? And then I was shocked to learn rail is still kind of the leading indicator of the economy, right? If rail's doing good, the economy's doing good. When rail starts to slow down, the economy's not too far behind. And so it opened my eyes to see that, man, freight and rail really plays an important part still in Texas and the economy, and then with what Texas does, the entire country's economy. So I'm honored to be here today to talk a little bit about what we've been able to work on the rail side, but it's also been really neat to see that rail partners like BNSF, what y'all do in the community as well. And so not just you're kind of siloed over here, you can be part of that integrated strategy, that integrated plan on how we're going to move people, move things from one place to another. And so that's one thing I've really appreciated about the rail industry, and then getting to talk with David and Holly on this the bullet train, and just seeing how they've come along and they've built relationships and they've worked all the localities and places that they have to get done what they need to get done. I think it speaks really well of your industry. And as McKay was talking about what happened on rail this session, well, not a lot, but that was actually probably a very positive thing. And so it's because of the efforts in this room, it's because of the kind of that y'all display that makes y'all a lot more powerful. So I would encourage y'all to continue to do that every way possible. I know that there's going to be some differences, there's going to be some nuances from time to time, but as much as possible, when y'all speak in a unified voice, it makes a big difference down in Austin. And so that's what allows you to beat back good bills and hopefully pass other ones. I know this session into it when I was approached by Lindsay and Dennis on House Bill 2775. They're like, would you carry a bill for us? I'm like, sure, show it to me. Literally one sentence. I thought, okay, there's got to be more to it than this. They're like, don't in between or around trains when they're in between crossings. I said, how's that not already a law? And how could that not already be? And they said, incredibly, we don't have any statute that allows law enforcement to point to say you can't do that and you should not be there. And so thanks to their help and a lot of others, we were able to get that across the finish line. And that's one of those things that doesn't make a lot of headlines, doesn't make a lot of news, but it could literally end up saving lives and helping our law enforcement protect people in the future. And so hopefully that makes your job just a little better. But anytime you have ideas like that, I'm sure Representative Israel would agree that that's what we want to hear. The stuff that I would have never thought about that needed to be changed in statute or that would have ever needed to be handled. And so if you have ideas like that, please reach out to my office, reach out to me and say, hey, this is an area where we're dealing with every day, we're having these issues, we're having complications, having these frustrations, we need your help. And I would love to look at that. I had a really interesting time being on transportation this last session because you learn more than you ever could in any other kind of capacity. We have 7,000 bills filed every session and only a couple thousand make it to the floor. Maybe a couple thousand too many, but still there's a lot of issues out there that get debated and discussed that if you're not on that committee, you probably never would have heard. And so in the past, I've always relied on people like Representative Israel who've been on the committees and know those things to understand the ins and outs of policy. And so having been on the Transportation Committee, hopefully we'll get back next session. That's a goal of our office because we want to continue the work that we've done so far on rail and other things and promote various forms of transportation, because my district is, I always say, if you look up gerrymandered in the district, you'll probably, in the dictionary, you'll probably see House District 93, the way it's drawn, but that means we've got a lot of highways and a lot of congestion. And so transportation, highways, freeways, and the rail are critically important to House District 93. So I hope to continue to be a good advocate for y'all in Austin, continue to stay up to date on what the industry needs and how we can promote that. I really do think y'all play such a vital and important role in what we're doing here in the state and, as I said, the country. So that was some of the good and the bad of what happened last session, but I also wanted to look ahead to what the 87th session's going to bring. One of the other committees that I sit on is redistricting, and we just had 2 hearings this week, one in Plano and one in Arlington. And our chairman, Phil King, has kept us on a pretty brisk pace. By the end of this interim, we'll have done, I think, 29 hearings around the state. So we've been in El Paso, we've already been in McAllen, we've already been in Houston, we've been in San Antonio, we've been in Austin, we've been in Corpus Christi, we've been in Fort Worth, we've been in Dallas, Plano, Arlington. We've already had about 12, 13 of those hearings. And this will be my first time going through redistricting, Representative Israel's first time going through redistricting. And so that is going to, from what we understand, when the maps come out and the census numbers and everything on April 1st, pretty much everything shuts down in the House from what we understand. And everybody starts drawing their maps. And people you've been friends with for a long time suddenly aren't as friendly to you. People that in your neighboring areas where you might get paired or might have lines drawn. So I would encourage you as you go into next session, if you identify a couple of key priorities to work with your stakeholders, work with your committees, work with leadership to say, hey, let's get this done and get it done early. And so because if you don't get it done by April 1st, from what we've heard from some of the more experienced veteran members, it's not going to get done the last 2 months of session because everybody's going to be focused on redistricting. So just a little bit of a plug there. And then obviously the budget is the only thing we constitutionally have to do every 140 days, every 2 years. That'll obviously be a big, that'll be another big discussion point. We had House Bill 3 last session, which was kind of our comprehensive school finance package, and we were able to pay for it in this last biennium, but it was a lot of money dedicated to public education, and we're going to have to find that money. And so what I want to do is make sure we don't get to that money at the expense of our transportation infrastructure and other needs as well. There's going to be a lot of I think for some reason sometimes when budget writers look at the different programs in the state and the different functions of the state, infrastructure and transportation somehow gets left off the critical list sometimes. And so I know I'll be a part of the contingent, Representative Israel will as well. Then we're making those decisions and having those discussions that infrastructure cost, new things we need to be doing on transportation, and those will be at the forefront of our minds as we make sure that the state allocates the resources we need to continue to keep up with the growth that we have. The demographers at our redistricting hearing are projecting at the end of 2020 we're going to have about 29 million people in Texas. Just when I came in 2013, it was projected we had about 24, 25 million people in Texas, right? And that was in 2012 when we just got elected. And so just in a span of a couple of years, we've put tremendous strain on our infrastructure here in Texas. And so we've got to continue to keep up with that with the increased growth, which is good, but that also has some challenges. So going into next session, I would watch the budget, I would watch redistricting, and I think that's going to suck up a lot of the oxygen from anything else. So again, I want to be a advocate for y'all. I want to be represent y'all well, especially having BNSF in the district really makes me want to be a good representative for this industry and for everything that y'all do. And again, if you have differences, that's great, but the more you speak in a unified voice, the stronger y'all are, the stronger that helps us down in Austin, makes our state stronger, country stronger. So thanks again for allowing me to be here today. My email is just matt@mattkrause.org. Don't do .com. That's a guy in Turkey who sends me emails sometimes when he's like, here's another one. So don't do matt@mattkrause.com, but my email is matt@mattkrause.org. If you have any ideas, concerns, frustrations, legislative ideas, just email me, and I'd be happy to talk with you and see what we can do on that front. So God bless you guys. Thanks again for having me.